Here we go.
All right.
And welcome to Table Breakers. This is episode 12, and we're going to be discussing how to run a game and bring your characters that you are running for your players, how to bring those moments alive for your players so they really just don't stop wanting to relive that or enjoy something like that. And in a recent stream, I had discussed classic adventure modules that are well known by many people. And the reason why I did is that I wanted to focus on things that the first and second generation game masters usually would go to for when their well was dry or when they just wanted to see how the designers would play their games. And tonight, we're going to discuss what we're doing now and if we took any lessons from those games to our tables today. So please welcome Conall, Kai, and myself, the man with the hands. Hey, thing. Okay. So, and thank you, Hedy Lamar and Indigo Dragon. Indigo Dragon, how are you doing tonight, sir? Andy, if you wouldn't mind, actually, let me address you as Conall. That's how your title on there. If you wouldn't mind, Conall, would you just give us like a few minutes of your experience that you've ran a game for people and they're now talking to you about something that happened a month ago or 6 months ago or in a previous campaign? Because I know you've had it happen where players will stop you somewhere, maybe not a game store, maybe out in public, maybe out in private when you're out on a walk at the park or doing something like that. But
mainly cigar shops.
Say again?
Mainly when I'm at a cigar shop, I run into somebody I know.
Yeah. And they discuss like, oh man, this guy, he ran the most awesome game for us. And they start to describe a moment. What were you doing at the time, and what was the scene that made your players just fall in love with the style of game and the game that you were running?
I like high fantasy. High fantasy to me is big magic, big coin, everybody's happy. Everybody's not happy, but everybody's content and willing to see the mission out. That's how I like it. Although like I said, I do my share of comments since DMing. So, for example, I'm trying to think of something. All right. Couple weeks ago, I'm running Rise of the Rune Lord through 5e. And so there's always that momentary hiccup test over it's like, what part of 5e do I use to what part of Pathfinder do I use? Mm-hmm. And so I said, fuck it. I'm doing 5e, so I'm going to start throwing in 5e monsters. Well, they're at you've ran Rise of the Rune Lord.
Yeah.
Right, Bruce?
Yeah.
You know the asylum part where it's a couple rare rats, a necromancer, a cleric, and a handful of other shit?
Yes.
I decided to throw in a beholder because, well, why not? I'm running through 5e. But it wasn't a regular beholder. It was a zombie beholder.
So it was a little less powerful than the usual beholder, but it's still a fucking beholder.
Right. And anymore, there's things that we joke about at the table that people normally don't run in their campaigns anymore. A mimic being one of them, beholders being the other. So I threw it in there, and they gate crashed the door. We're going to save all the people that are in, at the asylum because some of them might be okay because we're the big bad heroes. They crash open the door, and they have an undead beholder kind of wobbly staring at them as much as an undead stares at anything. It's like 3 nights at a quarter night beer house with the drunk of the week. So this happens, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's a beholder!" And I had one of the guys says, "I didn't do the complete line from the M&M commercial. They do exist." And they fight it. I killed somebody, which I don't feel bad because they were being dumb and, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and it's still being talked about. It's actually still. Last time I was at my local cigar shop where I go to. One of my players goes there as much as I do, and he was there talking about the beholders. Like, what made you want to throw a beholder in there? I'm like, well, it made more sense than putting a blacklist cube in there, I guess. And so that's one of the moments I've had where a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking has definitely brought players, back to that point in the campaign.
Now, whenever you've had you explain that position, that situation to us, what moment at what moment in your running of that game did you realize that like this is something that you probably need to just write down or jot down a quick note that you need to remember to do something like this later?
Right after it, because they're all, this is virtual gaming talk because, most of them live in other parts of the country, if not world. But everybody was smiling. And it's like, yeah, we kicked the beholder's ass. I'm like, let's, and I wrote down on a pad, must add more big eye monsters in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been joking around about throwing a mimic at them. And I know you won't do that. I'm like, well, let's see about this.
My favorite mimic is the house mimic.
I've got a mimic story that I'll wait for a second to share in a second. So,
but no, that's for me being a DM. Now, I like all of us. We have at least 101 different stories. Well, maybe not that many, but stories in other people's campaigns where it's talked about. It's like the man who wears diapers was a DM to me for a while, and I was playing a rogue who, and we're fighting a young red dragon. And I said to that red dragon, this wand will take you to a treasure, a hoard that's better than yours. DM's like, roll that bluff damage. I rolled a nat 20. And the DM rolled a nat 1. So the dragon took it, flew off. We got what we needed and got the hell out of there.
Yeah,
I would be pretty happy as a player if I rolled a nat 20 bluff on a dragon. I'm just gonna say that just like I would be a little bit like overwhelmed with like a little bit of elation, and I wouldn't be shitting my pants at the table, or on stream. I wouldn't be like taking a camera on the phone. Hey, StreamYards, yeah, mobile phone. Watch your phone melt, by the way, when you use StreamYards with mobile phones. And you go to the bathroom and you have that moment of like, you mute the microphone, but your friends can see your face go from happiness to relieved. Just kidding. Don't do that. Blaine.
yes.
You run for a new group every semester, or possibly a new group every semester.
Every 2 semesters usually, but yes.
Okay. So in the time you've been running, we don't have to talk about a recent game, but we could talk about one if you like. At what moment was it that you had something going on and you ran it for your table, and your players just went apeshit crazy with happiness? Either they were like impressed with the way you're running, or they were genuinely in the game, in the scene. And what was the takeaway as a game master, as a referee? What would you do? How would you report that?
Honestly, one that stood out recently was, semi-recently, was just simply letting players do something stupid and then let them have the ramifications that are appropriate, and then describing it out in a detail that made them actually enjoy what happened. Like, because you know how we always have these stupid plans, and Lieutenant GM goes, no, that's dumb, you shouldn't do that. Or another player goes, that's dumb, you shouldn't do that. No. We had one, and the players are still talking about this one, where one was just like, I had given out this staff that lets you turn into a raven once per day for 10 minutes. Whoop-de-doo. It was like, so there's this big, they're she chased out this bandit raider camp, and there was this witch who's like at the head of the bandit camp army, and our monk is like, give me the staff, and they handed the staff to him. He's like, I'm going to turn into a bird now, and I'm like, why are you turning into a bird? It's actually, he goes, I'm flying up really, really high. He goes like about like 200 feet in the air. I turn back into a human, and I aim my soon-to-be corpse at the head witch. I'm like, wait, what? I'm using myself as a projectile. You're going to die. I was going to die anyway, but this is more fun. And suddenly everyone's like, wait, what? And nobody stopped him because we're like, no, this is your character. You can die. And yeah.
I'm all for heroic sacrifice, yes.
And he just turned like I turned myself into a ballista bolt, and I hit I was going to a falling high velocity bullet. I'm like, do it. And we roll all damages, and his soon to be corpse crushed the witch, killed the witch. Well, didn't kill the witch. The witch got up, and then she got hit by the arrow and fell over dead. And it was pretty like this moment of everyone like, that was pretty awesome for a moment. And then, but it was mostly because they were dumb, and I didn't stop them. And so from that point forward, I'm like, no. Whatever. It's not really about any form of me going, no, guys, I'm here to be your voice of reason. No, I'm like, no. I'm just going to sit back and let you guys create your own memories and be it as dumb as you want them to be. Because usually, yeah, the heroic moments stand out, those awesome moments. And there are a few of those, like the one player who like stood there, and pulled the one man on the bridge moment. And he felt really awesome, dying, but he, pulled that one moment that he wanted to pull off. But more often than not, the memories that everyone remembers is always the dumb ones, like the dumb plans that work or fail in spectacular fashion. And those are what brings the players into it, because they're like, no, this is a great idea. Maybe we can just pick the person that if the evil villain is down there on the ground going, just hand over so-and-so who's pissed me off, and I'll leave you all alone. And the party goes, so we spare the entire city, but we throw the gnome over the wall. Yeah.
Nobody tosses a gnome.
And at which point they grab the gnome and they go, push him over the battlements and go, is this the gnome you hate? And the villain, yeah, that's the gnome I want. And then they just pitch him. And as the cleric goes, I'll just reincarnate you later. Don't worry about it. Wait, what? and his last thought as he goes falling into the moat was simply, wait, you're going to reincarnate me? And like, yeah, we're pretty sure he's going to probably kill you. But it's only be temporary. Our cleric will reincarnate you. Don't worry about it. He goes, but I won't be a gnome anymore. You'll be something far better. Just think about that. Far better.
You could be a paladin now.
No. You could be like a human or anything else in the book besides a gnome. He goes, well, it could be a halfling. So there's one side. So you get one side grade. Bye. Poof. And it's weird moments like that, or that make them all go, this is, and they talk more about those, and they talk about the actual plot lines I throw at them, which is actually kind of nice to actually go, no, we like the plot line, we like the story, but we like the fact that if we want to do something stupid, we can. And you won't tell us no, like you'll tell us no, or you'll make it hard on us, but you don't tell us no, you let us find our own dead ends. I'm like, yeah, that's what gets you into a game. It's what makes you guys think about it. And suddenly they're like, yeah, there was that time I did this really cool thing. I'm like, yeah, you did a cool thing. And all I was refereeing and let them having fun with it. And that pretty much is what it comes down to.
No, I absolutely agree. It's funny. It's the moments. It really is. It's the games that we play, a Dungeons and Dragons or any other system. When you're with a group of people, it's the books, it's the movies, anything that we watch. We don't, yeah, it was a good movie, but did you really catch the scene? Hey, that's a really good book, but did you read this part? Hey, last night's game. Yeah, it was kind of a drag with all the RPing, but this happened, and this was awesome.
Yeah. And that's what always pulls people back into it. And that's what they all joke about or think about. They're not talking about, like, yeah, there's that, like, at the core, players want to be, like, reminded of when they were cunning or exciting or brave, or they pulled a fast one, or when they managed to, like, convince somebody in a con job that should not have been conned.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you brought that up. Or when they, like, make a friend that they should not, but, like, because when you actually look at since you mentioned mimics, look at a mimic stat line. They're actually pretty intelligent and charismatic. You could actually talk to one if you ever found one that was conveniently, amicable, and actually make a, talk with one for a bit. And suddenly, hey, yeah, you gotta worry about the speed 10 gelatinous monster wandering around, following you around, but you know what? Make a deal with them. It's like, hey, we'll feed you, like, when we kill an entire room, we'll feed them to you.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly that mimic's like, this sounds like a bad deal. And suddenly you now got a mimic. Plus, when you all go to sleep at night, the mimic's like, hey, watch our stuff. And the mimic, I'll turn into a chest. And then suddenly the thief, I'm going to sneak up. Some evil GM thief's like, I'm going to go steal all the party's stuff. And they put it in this nice chest. When the party's been carrying, and the mimic's slow as hell, so you pick him up and you carry him around like a chest, and he's like, this is kind of nice. And at night you put him down, he's like, oh, cool. You feed him all table scraps, you give him some, a share of the corpses that, like, you got the loot, he gets the corpses, he's happy. And now you got a mimic who's just, like, periodically eats people, and you're like, this is a fantastic idea. And who knows, you might soon have an entire family of mimics following you around. And why? Because a player got creative one day and goes, hey, I want to try talking to it before we kill it. And suddenly, those things stick out far more than, or that one player who looks down the hallway and goes, oh, this sounds really bad. Somebody who's read I, Tyrant and goes, we're in a cave, right? Yeah, there's a lot of mirrors, right? Oh, shit, we're all about to die horribly. Why? Beholders, lots of beholders. And suddenly you get the one player who's, like, using, like, like, sending, like semaphore messages, flashing messages down the hallway going, we want to talk. And the beholder, no, about what? And you can have a lot of fun with like, you can either go at it with the standard GM thing of, well, no, it's an encounter. You must fight it and kill it. And now or you have players who go, wait, these are intelligent monsters. Well, they're evil, yeah, but we don't have a paladin in the party. We don't have to play by this. We gotta murder all things in the dungeon. We'll probably have to kill it, but let's give it a shot first. And those stories stick out much more with your players. And it's like, they can at least go, we tried talking to it once. Yeah, it said no, we had to kill it. Sure, no problem. But, there might be that one time where you get that one who goes, these are my terms, and the players, well, those terms aren't actually that unreasonable. I mean, so if we work for you, the beholder, okay, you'll help us overthrow the evil wizard in the tower over there, right? Who's overthrowing the entire, region. So you're telling me you want me to follow us around, go kill a wizard, you can have the tower. Sweet. Yeah, okay. This is like a plan. And suddenly you got weird deals like this happening, and players get more engaged. They feel more fun.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Bruce, you're being awful quiet over there. I'm sure you got more. I got some examples.
The game that I'm going to reference is the one that we've all referenced here in the past maybe 2-3 months, where the players, they knew they were in a dungeon, but they didn't exactly want to follow my plan for them to continue this exploration of the invasion going on, and they found a portal in this dungeon, and there's hobgoblins all around, so they decide, we're just going to jump in the portal, see where it takes us. We don't give a shit. So one player stays behind, and the others just jump on in. and they encounter a big blue dragon, and they have a half TPK after a failed negotiation or intimidation check. It doesn't really matter. The paladin opened his mouth, and he was the first to die. And ever since then, I get people, including that player that had the paladin, they're always texting me, or they'll be giving me messages on Discord like, I can't wait for this next game coming up. I have an idea for my new character, or I really want to get back and see if we can find a way to kill that blue dragon, because my players start getting antagonistic towards an NPC or organization. I know I've got them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've done something to make them actually hate or strongly despise a fictional group or character, and that's what I want. That's what I want at the table.
The really weird thing is that you never can know what's going to set off your group into becoming fanatical about being obsessed about hunting down something. I've had groups who've been like, where I can present an existential threat to creation, and they will go, not worth our time. And but somehow, if there's an international conglomerate of guilds who are forcing them to actually pay actual market value for an item and for materials, and they're like, suddenly they've got a big, like a massive vendetta against this cartel that's just ensuring that the book prices are actually the book prices, and that if you're trying to craft it yourself, you still got to pay book price. And like, no, but we can pay discounts because we're making it ourselves. Like, no, they already know you're already trying to rig the system and trying to profit for it. So they're trying to up the price, so you're still paying book value for it to make it, but you're making it yourself. And I don't have to say no or yes to it. And they're like, oh, this cartel has to go down, and they'll go out of their way to plan the downfall of this cartel. And suddenly I'm like, I have a plot line. We are now totally in on this. We want to have cheap magic items and cheap potions and cheap materials. None of the you don't get to do any of this to us, GM. And suddenly their quest on Earth is going to be burn down an entire international mercantile federation because I want book prices to be book prices, and they can't stand it. Free market must exist, and that's one of those weird moments of going, well, they literally ran for like the next 3 months. That was their entire campaign, and Crusade was to break this confederation. It was like, why? Because you want to save 10 gold? Yes. Yes, that's why.
Well, 10 gold could feed was it 1 gold could feed a family for 10 months. So 10 gold could feed a family for months.
It's an overestimation, but
yeah.
You feed a family on a couple of gold per month, I think.
But that was the old standby.
If you're using traditional Dungeons and Dragons economy and you don't think about it, yeah, your answer's right. If you start going into like detail into, how much you're actually paying trained profession, you go into the hirelings chart, you figure out how much it actually costs to hire hirelings per day, per job. You start to go, the economy is actually really fucked up if you think about the old classic. You pay a peasant a copper, they get to have, they get to eat for a day. And you're like, no. I'm actually paying a guy to carry rocks for 5 copper a day. And you start figuring out this massive equation like, no, the economy is actually totally fucked up, and everything's a lot more expensive than everyone has more money than you think they are, but everyone just acts poor when adventures are around.
Oh yeah.
Because no GM wants to put any thought into their economy, which is the whole reason why I have my theory of the more you think about the economy, about D&D's economy, is like quantum wave theory. It works as long as you don't look at it. And the moment you look at it, it falls apart. And suddenly you realize, well, no, the average middle class worker actually has the money to go out and buy potions, pay for magical spells, start supporting an economy, and suddenly start building out this image of adventurers come into town thinking of the biggest rich shit, and then like, here's my gold piece, bartender. Poof. Now you're my servant. And the bartender like goes, well, thanks. And then pockets it. And they're like, well, aren't you going to treat me any better? I'll get you some good drinks. But I gave you a gold piece. Shouldn't you like suck my dick? No. No, I don't.
That reminds me of
But
a
I'm
minute.
so rich. Here's 10 gold pieces. Wow, you paid my rent for the month. Cool. What else are you going to do for me? Well, money, do what I want. And suddenly players have to go, wait, things are actually starting to figure, like, and suddenly when it, like, wait, so bankers might actually have a job, like, everything starts to, like, but listen, D&D players and GMs just assume everyone's dirt farmers living in mud huts and you know, wearing rough-hewn linens. And I'm like, no, but go ahead, think that. I'm just going to sit back and go, no, that's not how everything works, actually. But that's economy. That's its own weird entire subject. So
I've actually, yeah, like I said, when I originally made, you know, one gold piece feeds a family for 10 months. That was the standard, because I asked, and that was the standard question I got back in 3.5 days. That was the status quo answer, and I really never thought about it, you know.
But look at how much you're paying your hirelings. Look at the hireling chart. Look at that. Figure out how much they're being paid. Realize that's an average farmer's paycheck. That I'm going to go hire a guy to carry rocks for me for a day. That's like 2 silver.
Yeah.
Wait a moment. He's earning 2 silver a day? And then you're sitting here looking at your paycheck as an adventurer going, I'm getting fucking gypped. I'm going out into a muddy shit-filled hole, getting stabbed, poisoned, and the wizard died twice, almost. And we got like 25 gold. And the farmer's just like, you know, if you just would have like, you know, put some hard work in for 2 months, you would have had that much money. And
yeah.
And the adventurers, we're actually really lazy and allergic to doing real work. So we're going to go out there and get stabbed. Meanwhile, the fighter, who's actually, you know, some little level 1 minion, you know, like, sellsword guy, work for me. And he's like, my price tag is this. And, you know, and they're like, we're paying you more than we earn. What the fuck? How do you get that? Because I have a regular paycheck in dental. What do you got? Nothing. We got a cleric. You should look at a better line of work. But we're adventurers.
Earlier campaigns, I'm like, well, my character needs to get a bag of holding. And that's 20,000 gold pieces. Or, you know, something like that, somewhere around there. And I'm thinking, okay, if we keep doing these same jobs that we're doing, they're roughly paid about 500 gold pieces. No, 500 to 600 gold pieces divided by 7 of us. That's 50 gold pieces for me. Well, fuck.
You're never going to make it.
Yeah.
And even you're like, well, we have somebody who's a magic item maker in the party. He could make it. He's like, no, I can't. Not for a while, guys. Not for a while. And then they're like, we have all the money. We're going to, like, you do realize that like every merchant on the planet wants that item, right? Well, yeah, we have enough money. We'll go buy one. No, there aren't any available. Well, why aren't there any available? Everybody's using them. What?
Yeah.
Every single one that's being made is being bought up immediately by somebody who's got money, more money than you. But who's buying them? The bankers are buying them. To do what? Transfer money from one town to the next. Because, well, I have a gem that's worth 10,000 gold pieces, and I'll just transfer that to a gem holder. Well, you got money lending going back and forth. And people are like, wait, huh? Yeah, they can afford to hire wizards to do all this stuff. This is why, and this is where high magic is bullshit, because now you have wizards in every town who can go, well, I cast teleport. What's your actual job? The mailman. I just transfer money. I money, banknotes, and promissory notes plus other materials to my bag of holding from one point to another, and the mail once a day, and I get paid more than you guys earn as dirt diggers. blood-covered death sacks. What are you doing? Like, this is what Forgotten Realms should be like when you just walk around the corner and you bump into a wizard every fucking 4 feet. Hey, it's like when you run into a spellcaster when every third person's a spellcaster and every other of those is an arcane caster, you're probably going to run into, at least in a town of 10 to 20,000, at least one wizard who's actually of decent level, and he's probably got a job where he's like, I don't go outside for anything. Do you have combat spells? Fuck no. Fuck you. Why would I have combat spells? No, I got real money.
Well, you don't.
Doing what? Sending. I'm literally. What are you doing? Sending spells. Why? Because I make more money relaying information from the local governor to the king every day. What do you guys do? I go out and actually do real fights and get stabbed and killed and have an adventure. And they're like, idiot. There's real work. There's real work for you to do. So I'm actually, you're trading your body for, you're trading for your body for gold because you're just, you're a whore who gets stabbed, not fucked. Congrats. And, that kind of sucks. That's right, guys. Work hard. Think of something besides making money, because obviously adventuring is not a moneymaker unless you're smart.
Yeah, I mean, depends on how far the campaign goes.
Much at the economy, really.
No,
you really don't. You want to have your game have a flexible economy, and I would never suggest that you keep always adhering to the player's handbook prices for like a long sword or a crate of flour. I would not suggest to always adhere to that. You need to vary it up a bit.
Oh yeah, you do. But that is RPG capitalism and RPG mercantilism, and that's not this topic, because as much as I can go into vast detail about this and shipping and all those other things, that's not what most players look forward to. And most of them just kind of realize, I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job. This is a power fantasy. I want to go out and kill things and be a hero. Good.
Well, most people in real life have to do that 9-to-5 job and really like to go outside and go kill things.
And you're right. No, I did not forget. But the thing is that the moment my players start to think about something besides money, I just go, no, you're actually in this for to hopefully do something better for the world, right? And then, don't go into adventure. Don't go into adventure thinking you're going to get rich. The moment you're in it for just loot and cash, the moment my players go, we're in it for loot and cash, and that's when I'm like, and that's when the IRS comes out and goes, we're here for you now, bitch. And they're like, oh yeah, the real enemy is actually the government. And shit. I'm like, yeah, go find a real ideal. Go find a real goal. Go try to stop evil, end corruption. Go do heroic deeds. Because if you start going mercenary, I start pulling out guess what? Paperwork. What? The greatest enemy is bureaucracy. And this sucks. What are you going to do? Try to overthrow the global order and put yourself in charge? We could do that.
Pinky, take over the
world.
I'll tell you what, Kai. Now think about writing a campaign where the players are against the tax revenue. It could be done. Now, I guess my question is, what race would the tax revenue people be? Would they be like gnomes?
Oh no! You want to know what the tax agency in my world is? It literally is a cabal of wizards who monitor everything. And one player realized we could go after the wizards and realized, oh shoot! Oh, we gotta do paper. Oh, this is good. And so they actually do periodically go. And then ultimately, what always happens is the players get close to figuring out that they can to go challenge them, and then go, we're better off if we just join the establishment, and we just sell off all of our ideals and just become agents of the great machine that we work. And I just go, yes, the technocracy wins. Congratulations. Order always prevails. You fail. and as a GM, you should always be challenging. Like if their ideal is freedom and independence, tempt them, challenge them, and at any point that they go, that they're willing to trade their ideals for something else, and you go, and that's why heroes always fail, because of morality play. You just take whatever or they actually go, no, I actually do believe this, and they push through, and at that point they're heroes of their story. I don't care if they're actually villains; they're heroes of their story, and that's what matters for them. Oh my God, yes! If my players invented NASCAR, I would be the happiest person in the entire world. Moonshiners versus the Revenuers. Yes.
Yeah.
Players inventing NASCAR would be hilarious.
Moonshiners.
I would love that.
Yeah, no, we've already kind of done that. How many stories out there are basically the dwarfs who are basically the moonshiners versus the elves? We've done that. We've seen that.
Oh, no, but the thing is that do you ever have the elves going after the actual dwarven
Actually, wouldn't that be the
skills?
halflings? Wouldn't be the halflings be more of the moonshiners?
Have any of you actually ever ran that adventure where the IRS is coming around to go burn down all the moonshiner stills and you're trying to make your money? Most of us don't ever get to have that kind of fun.
No.
So it's like, plus most players just don't. Most players would just be like, I'm going to go gun down the agents coming up the hill, and they're like, well, that's a very bad plan. That's a very bad plan. It doesn't end well. You know that, right? And that, but we're gonna do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go play Copperhead Road, and we're gonna listen to the very last verse now. That's what's going to happen real soon. And I hope to God you got some good traps planned up there. And like, why? Because there's weird shit's going to happen. Why? Because you killed the government agents, motherfucker. Things are coming after you. Be prepared. Oh no. And yeah. And I've had players who literally gone, we're gonna be pirates. I'm like, you do realize that's a bad idea? We're being pirates. And I'm like, you better it's on now. And now it's like, oh, wait, what do you mean the British Navy's actually powerful? It's very powerful. What do you mean they're everywhere? It's the British Navy, motherfucker. What do you think is going to happen? We're pirates. We're awesome. We can just take any one ship. Yeah, but this is a magical version of the world. Oh, that means when you attack that ship, they send a message to everybody else saying, hey, this is where we're dying. Come get us. Like, come avenge us. And oh, this comes back. And players are getting really, really smart and figuring out how to outsmart the fact that they're being hunted by everyone on the planet. But they're rich, so it's okay.
That fixes a lot of problems.
And paper.
If you have an opportunity to have more wealth than what you probably deserve, and you've got problems, if you throw money at them, the problems 99% of the time just go away.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately.
I don't know. You might run into the untouchables, the ones that money will not stop. And then you're like, what do you do? What do you do if you have Elliot Ness hunting your ass down? Well, what do you mean? That one paladin who's uncorruptible. You can't stop him and his band of buddies who are going to beat the shit out of you because, they're his buddies. How do you stop the unstoppable force? Well, we got money. We'll just pay. He will continue. He is a Terminator. He will just walk through all of your defenses. And it's fun when your party is being unconventional. Like, if you can get away from that, you have to all be heroes thing. And your party goes, well, wait, we are the Moonshiners. We are the Bootleggers. We are the underworld. We are everything that's bad. And then you present them with the one thing that every party is. The unkillable war machine, i.e. the paladin who walks in there going, I am wearing armor of fortitude where I'm immune to criticals. I have my saving throws. I am made of awesome, and I have a cleric who's literally glued to my back and healing me. And I have in the party, oh shit, how do we stop another party who's geared to kill us? This isn't good.
You plane shift.
Find out. Are you really a good player? Are you
And-
really a good GM?
Yeah, and the best part is that it's fun because everyone thinks about, hey, wait, I'm gonna be Elliot Ness. Well, it's more fun it's like cool, but it's fun the first 2 or 3 times you've ever been Elliot Ness. But have you ever been on the receiving end of it? Well, no, we've always been the good guys. Well, now here's your chance to see if you're smarter than all my villains. If you're smart enough to be able to cover all your bases, because I've been taking notes, I've been watching this stuff, and I'm not going to make it impossible on you because I want this game to be fun. Because I want that Ocean's 11, that chance of the Ocean's 11 ending when they escape, or the Italian Job escape, or some other like crime movie. Like, go for it, be awesome, have fun, do tricks, and it's all about rewarding them. And suddenly they're now engaged because they're having fun, and it's great. Even if it does end with ultimate betrayal because one player betrays the other rest of the party, because that's what always happens.
Right.
And that might just simply be the player, that player who betrays everyone by literally just stealing the boat and leaving their whole party just sitting on the shore going, where'd our boat go? And he's walking off with the boat in a bottle, walking off going, in the party. But wait, we got betrayed. I betrayed? That's terrible. But that's what they were engaged at every moment of that, of all of these situations that did actually have happened. They've been fun. And sometimes the betrayal isn't the end of the campaign. It's literally just the transition point from previous arc to new arc. And that arc that transition point is an incredible point that everyone will keep talking about afterwards. And that might just simply be a player, because you've let players go without having this whole thing of, no, as a GM, I must now prevent all players from ever having interpersonal fights and anything. And it ends with somebody eating a high velocity bullet and then falling over his corpse, and you're like going, and the rest of the party, wait, what just happened? And then the one party, and that one player, I had a long standing issue with that character, and I had to solve it. And the rest of the party, yeah, but we liked that guy. We didn't like you. And now blood and guts happens, and it's blood and murder happens, and it's beautiful.
I've noticed. I mean, even in my campaign that I'm running, like I said, the Rise of Rune Lord, in the very beginning, since I'm using 5e, there's these classes off 5e that I don't fully understand at the time because they just came out, and I'm like, no, we're just going to do basic core. But at the moment we get to like a major city, and you want to bring in an artificer, I'll allow that.
Go ahead.
Why can't I have it now? Well, you're in a small fishing village. The most they have is what's in your core book.
But you never know. Like, a ship might have sunken offshore. There's that one guy who's like, who are you?
I needed basically 2 months to read what the hell they're going to try to do to me. Realistically, that's what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But also DMN's the same concept as whatever you do to me, I'll do back to you.
Oh, yeah. And that's part of the GM arms race. It's like you can either just abuse them or let them set the pace of abuse. And once you have this little unspoken deal going on with your fellow players of I'll play as fair as you do. As long as you don't be trickery and all, like if you're all honorable, I won't do anything horrible to you. The moment they start to push the barrier, push the limits, get out of the box a little bit, and that's when I go, okay, that's now in play. That's now in play, and a few of the older players know that trick now, and they kind of elbow their fellow and the new people who are arrived that semester and go, hey, don't do that one. Why? Because he's playing nice, and don't agitate him to the point where he's going.
The bear, damn it! Don't poke the bear.
Yeah, it's like don't use that rule yet.
Shadzar, some people want to be a merchant. It's a quick route for people to gain gold if they know how to wheel and deal, if they know how to talk to people, if they've got the right attributes for the game. It's how it is.
And also, conversely, as all of us who are wage slaves at the bottom of the pit, I remember role playing is ultimately a fantasy. It's all about power. to do the thing that you can't do in real life. None of us are CEOs. None of us are kings or rulers. None of us are major corporation owners. None of us own ships and businesses. So therefore, the power fantasy of being able to go, no, I am the one with all the power and the might and the ability to hire minions to do my bidding for me, and I can just walk in and go, hey, why the fuck is this shelf not set right? You don't want to be what you like. I don't want to RP a truck driver, but
you could be Jack Burton.
Well, wait. Yeah, can I be? Yeah, I was about to say.
Now, the thing is, Jack Burton was a truck driver, but the adventure wasn't around him being a truck driver. He was just a guy watching everyone else be more awesome than him.
Can I be Burt Reynolds?
That is so true, and I gotta say that's one of my favorite movies because
it is my favorite movie. So
yeah, because the reason he knew how to actually play a guy that felt he was a leading guy, but in reality he knew as an actor I'm playing a secondary character.
Oh yeah, but
I'll be a trucker if I could be Burt Reynolds.
So are you gonna drive So you're going to be Burt Reynolds driving a truck, but not the car? Wait a second.
Burt Reynolds in the early days of Smokey and the Bandits.
So when he's driving the car, not when the... Oh, yeah, you're right.
When he's, before it's like, I don't know, maybe a decade before we get Smokey and the Bandits. It's the lead up to that. That Burt Reynolds.
And the thing is, you can have a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff. It's like, the thing is that while I have put a lot of emphasis on being a merchant and all that stuff, that isn't all that is just secondary motivations. Because I have learned that when players have a vested interest to if the new Dark Lord is burning down a neighboring kingdom, and someone's like, that's one of my major trading partners. That's where I have all my sugarcane fields at. I'm not happy with the fact that I now suddenly have a disruption to my baking, to my cake baking industry. This can't stand. And then suddenly,
coffee empire.
Yeah, his coffee empire. And then suddenly,
fuck with my coffee.
And then suddenly you have a player who literally walks the rest of the players. Okay, guys, I have some bad news. And everyone else, yeah, what? We're gonna be out of coffee in 3 weeks. Why? There's a rebellion being led by a Dark Lord about one, in the coffee empire and in the coffee area, and we need to go take care of that problem. And what's causing it? I don't know, but all I know is I got a message from my supervisor. One of my managers that says we're going to be broke in about a month. So let's go ensure we have paychecks, some money, and then suddenly let's go get our gear out of storage. And suddenly they're gearing up like G.I. Joe getting ready to go blow up Cobra shit going on here. Like 4 paychecks. And then they're going off to go beat down, and suddenly they've got motivation. And I've given them no more motivation than you guys weren't paying attention to the local news. There's an uprising. You should probably go take care of that. And when they get there, now I can go, oh, there's actually a cult going on behind it, and there's Dark Lord who's behind that, and there's another problem behind that. There's an ancient evil that's behind that. And then suddenly they're like, oh, shit. And this is only because we wanted coffee. Yes.
No pressure.
No pressure. And then at the end, when everything's finally done, and they're sitting back at, they've gained three levels, they have some new magic items, they're going, let's go get some coffee. And then they go get some coffee because they've earned it. And they feel special when they sit down and go, man, this donut and coffee feels really good right now. And
you find out the sugar is gone.
And that sounds a lot more fun than that new barista adventure thingy that just got dropped or talked about from
Strixhaven.
What is I just heard little
I don't
bits
know.
about some kind of the adventure is you guys are essentially baristas in some fantasy version of Starbucks, and your manager is sick, and you have to deal with everything, and you're basically untrained, and that's the adventure.
That sounds terrible. Okay, at least mine would at least give you options of having weird things happen.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yours is much more fun.
The highlight of the one that Biggus Geekus is brought up is see who can self-cancel themselves the fastest wins the game. It's like,
yeah. I don't know. Wizards is making so many mistakes, and I don't know if that's third party or if that's directly.
That's got to be third party. I've seen a lot of these games out there, pocket games, or the games that you're having a dinner party and you just want to have a bunch of people around the table to hang out scenarios.
Okay, so that's a D&D Beyond thing. Okay, yeah, so it's third party. It's stupid.
I don't know what kind of dinner party games that when you have these big parties that have weird games. Most of the dinner party games that have like crowds that I'm at usually involve someone being dead.
Yeah.
So,
how to host a murder.
I like the murder mysteries. I mean, last dinner party I was kind of at, we were playing Secret Hitler.
Right. Or
that was fun.
Yeah, it's Secret Hit. Like, so we were playing Secret Hitler, or we're playing a murder mystery game, and that's actually kind of fun. But the idea of everyone sitting around playing baristas, no. I'll pass.
Only if I could be sarcastic the entire time. I mean, the soup Nazi during Seinfeld. No coffee for you.
You know what? And at that point, you're having fun with it. At least at that point. So
realistically, the trick is to have fun. I don't care what you play as long as you're having fun.
Right. So you can make anything fun. Like if I can make diplomacy and mercantilism fun, which is not. Most of the players just go, God damn, just give me my paycheck. And I'm like, and it's true. Some players just go, look, I'm giving all my money to the one player, to the three players who actually know how to do all this stuff, and I'm just gonna be a silent partner. And I'm like, congratulations, you've now mastered being rich. What do you mean? You've pawned all your money off onto a hedge fund, and they're doing all the work for you.
Yeah.
And you just wait for your monthly paycheck to come in. They're like, wait, what?
I've done variations of that during other campaigns I've run. I haven't done it as of yet in the current variation of it, where the players save a not tribe, but a bunch of dwarfs. And dwarf says, well, we can't pay you right now, but if you're willing to pay into this mine that we're working right now that produces mithril or gold or whatever, we'll give you like 5% of the earnings.
I would gladly pay for a hamburger on Tuesday if I could have it tonight.
Yeah.
Well, if you're paying futures on a mine, that's not a bad investment if the dwarves can be trusted.
Yep. And that's why you need to have the party every once in a while go, like, you have to go, have we been paid? No. Somebody's not paying. At which point, somebody goes, hey, barbarian, yeah? Someone ain't paying.
Okay.
Go take care of the problem.
Yeah. Some dwarfs need murdering.
And then suddenly it's like
scared.
I also find it weird. Even as a DM, some of the places where people will find money out of anything. And it's like, well, I could forge this bit of sword back together. You think I can get a couple of silver of them? Like, sure. Let's go to the local, give me your shit pawn store that, every campaign has.
Well, and the thing is that it's partially our fault as GMs by being stingy to the point where the players are going, because again, when you start a low-level campaign, that first 2-3 levels, they're looking at things like, I want a suit of full plate, and they can't afford it. So they're looking at that 1,000 gold. They're like, how do I get 1,000 gold? Oh shit! When you go to that first adventure, here's your massive pile of $200 gold pieces divided by 5, and everyone looks at their pile of 40 and go, man.
You know what my normal response is if I'm starting a new campaign is, do I have enough money to stay in a tavern tonight? Yes. Do I have enough money to eat at this tavern tonight? Yes. Do I have enough money to drink at this tavern tonight? Yes, but you'll be broke. I'm okay with that. Tomorrow.
But you haven't seen my players who are going, oh, no. We need to figure out how where we use this pool money, like everyone's like, there's like cash is like everyone's so cash strapped that we literally will like look at a pile of broken goblin gear and go, "Hey, crafter!" And there's always one in the party. There's always one blacksmith, armor smith in the party. There's always one in the party.
That's just stereotypical.
Oh, look, every player, like, somebody will do it. It doesn't matter. There's always one. I don't care what. I have not found a group who does not have at least one guy who's got some crafty skill in the group. It doesn't have. Or if it does,
bread and butter during 3.5 days.
Right. And so they'll look at all this. You find all this broken, low quality gear, and he's like, "Can I fix it?" And some of the party like, "Well, you're on your week long barge trip to the next town." That guy's sitting here going, "Ding, ding, 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 ding." He's polishing, tearing apart leather to reassemble it, and he's like, "Okay, now we have 3 suits of leather armor that aren't crap we can sell, and 2 bows that aren't crap, and 1 sword that's not crap. Now we got some money." And the party, "All right, we're not broke bitches anymore.
Oh yeah.
We can sleep somewhere that's not on hay, that's full of lice. We're doing good."
Yeah, if you watch any of those restoration videos on YouTube, where some dude takes a rusted piece of crap metal and then makes some beautiful thing out of it, if that's possible, then pulling off some dead goblins junk you should be able to do something with it.
Oh God!
If
yes.
you were given sufficient time and skill, yeah.
I can't pronounce his name, but there's a comment in a chat. Sandar, I don't know. Shadzar. Actually, historically, Vikings, if they would bend their sword or anything during battle and they survived it, they would shove their sword into the campfire that night, and the local smith would pound it back into place. It's historically accurate that you can forge on the go. You just don't have the same setup as the town's blacksmith. You can do simple smithing.
And I have seen enough players carry around portable anvils for just this reason, or armor repair kits for just these reasons, because they figured out.
That's what mules are for.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, a portable forge or anvil is going to be no more than 5 to 10 pounds. It's not going to be about that big by that big. You don't need that much space to pound something out on. Yeah.
And that's what camp followers are for too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're starting out, and when you got players who figure out that you have your inventory should be in like two or 3 steps. You have your travel kit, and then you have your combat kit. When you go we're getting ready for combat, you put the travel kit down, you carry your combat shit with you, and it's like, but we're all encumbered for travel, but we're not going to fight encumbered. We're going to drop that shit. We're going to go in with light.
And when I was in the military, there was a way to strap your pack so that all you had to do was pop one rope or one string, and then that falls, and then you're free to do other things.
I've seen those.
You come back and pick the stuff up when you need it.
Yeah, I didn't know that trick at first, but then some old vet explained it to me too, and I'm like, oh. And from that point forward, I've been like, no, this is a good idea. Do this, plan for this. And they're like, oh, okay. Because, like I said, somebody had to explain it to me, so that way I knew it. And I'm like, thank you for telling me this shit. And now I knew. And now I can carry that forward and tell other people, this is what you got to do. Don't worry about, but I don't want to be encumbered all the time. You're not encumbered all the time, only while you're walking. And walking is misery. You're never going to be happy. Just walk, okay? Go. And he was happy. And he was happy when the old guy was happy when he was listening to us game, and that we were starting to bitch about and shit and he would yell at us from the other room to remind us that no, this is how miserable you're actually going to be, because he was infantry, and he was like, no, more miserable. And we're like, oh God damn it.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah. And he was sitting here in the other room just working on whatever he was doing, and then he would just listen to us gaming, and then he would just yell at us to tell us that no, it's actually more miserable. But hey, GM, make it worse. Make it much worse. Make it so much worse.
Well, I've noticed.
And I'm like, and then one day I was like, just sat down with him, like, do you I just got a notebook out one day. I'm like, just want to tell me how suck it actually was. And he's like, sit down. And I got a beer out. He got a beer out. We just sat there and talked. His son was just sitting here going, why didn't you ever tell me these stories, Dad? And he goes, well, you weren't ready to listen to this shit. And I'm sitting here going, okay, cool. This is okay. And you learn because I learned because he listened into our story and then went, here's how to make your story better and worse at the same time. And I'm like, oh, okay. And now 20, 15, 18 years later, I abuse new kids with, here's what an old guy told me about how crappy your job actually is, guys. Oh, this
walking
sucks.
20 miles, that sucks.
It sucks. But if you listen to some GMs, goofing off, it's like, oh, you could carry, like you could walk through, just carry your good load. You can make a walk through tree-filled wilderness 10 miles a day, and but we could probably push it further, like 20 miles a day. And I'm like, no, there's no trails here, but we can do it. We'll push. No,
push your feet into having blisters on everywhere.
But the Roman Legion did it. Yeah, that was the Legion. That was the Legion, guys. You're not the Legion.
Yeah. I say after a year of adventuring like that, maybe a summer or something like that, takes time to build up some toughen yourself up to that kind of punishment, because that's what it is.
It is.
Carrying a big, heavy pack. And, we probably didn't have the best boots in the world for walking 20 miles, but they're not bad. I'm thinking the adventurers probably have, junk for boots when they start out.
Yeah. And
they don't have anything good.
And the thing is and I laugh about this whenever the GM, whenever I play, we'll just run really fast through the woods. I'm like, no, you guys really aren't Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli. You're not.
At that part, using that as a reference, even at that part of the story, they're already, at least 15th level characters before they even started.
Or equivalent in their world.
Yeah.
Because I've read essays where they've literally been where you could do the entire Lord of the Rings at 5th level. So with a 5th level character. So you don't have to be, you could just fluff them out as they're all high level, or they were just slightly better than normal. They're just tough
I
characters.
Think the early Middle Earth games had high men, the Numenorians.
Yeah.
That's Legolas. Not Legolas. That was Aragorn. He was a Numenorian who was closely related to elves anyway. So he's long lived.
He was a great nephew of.
Yeah, not Superman, more Captain America without all the strength. But
and
super tough and hardy and run for days, all that.
And the best part is that, and to go back to the example of gear, if you watch how they're actually traveling, they're not traveling in heavy gear. They're traveling light. They're running as fast as they can.
They have hardly anything.
Yeah. They're going with at that point, you can actually pull up the survival, the ranger's ability to just find food and water along the way. That's what that ability is supposed to be used for. You're pretty sure that
skill he's got was amazing.
Yes.
He could forage. He was foraging, and if you guys remember the old MERP role playing game, Middle Earth role playing, oh god, everybody took forage. When you had a character, there'd be a veteran at the table take forage, make that your highest ranking skill. We'll make it.
Yes.
You'd be surprised. You could actually find enough food for 6 or 7 people, and that would keep you alive through your big hikes. And they managed to put some of that in the movie, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
what was it? Well, I'm going to take a drink because Bruce brought this up a while ago. Every time I see Dag here, I take a drink. So I'll take a drink.
Max is somewhere around here. I know. I just have to say Earth Dawn.
Yeah.
He's
No,
not on.
Daggy, or one of the things I do.
You just summoned him. He's probably somewhere lurking. Waiting.
Right. Is we go camping, and I'm part of a group that likes a lot of the bushcraft that you see on YouTube and stuff like that. So one of the main things that we always talk about when we get together and we actually take time to go do is go out into the woodish parts of wherever we're camping and bring back what we find. This is, and verify this is edible. It's a learning. It's something to learn on, because we might not have grocery stores a year from now. Who fucking knows what's going to happen tomorrow? These are skills worth knowing, and I like
we have a garden.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I haven't learned how to slaughter a beast yet, but
I can. I went to culinary art school. That was one of the things.
The important thing here is that this is why you need friends. One person knows how to grow. One person knows how to butcher. One person is your cook and your preserver. Everybody has a job.
Right.
Everyone does it. You don't need somebody who can code. You need somebody who can plant a goddamn garden.
And going back to gaming, I like to be in groups. I like running groups and also gaming groups where everybody takes a job. Okay, this is my job. This is what I do for the party. Well, I'll do this. I'll do that. Whereas, okay, who's doing what? I don't want to do anything. I gotta sleep. I don't want to. I'm like, come on, people. This is supposed to be a functioning group.
Oh, what's the worst? The worst is when the DM says, "Okay, there's a door in front of you," and everybody's looking at each other. Who's going to go first? Oh, we're brave adventurers.
An hour and a half later, the answer is the rogue, which is what the answer should have been an hour ago.
Or at least one of the fighters who's brave enough to just take whatever happens. I mean, I'm playing a wizard, and I'm like, okay, there's a door.
Go get it.
Go get it.
How close do you have to use to be? How close do you have to be to use that spell? Open or close? Knock. Yeah. Knock. Like if I could be 20 feet away, I'll just do knock and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it is ranged, but yeah.
Like fuck. If you're a wizard, you have spells where you can well, if I use it this way, this might work.
I'm sorry, Kai. I think I stepped right all over you.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah. Hey, look, battering ram does not use up spell slots. Just use the battering ram.
Whenever I play, and I play and I plan on playing for a while in somebody's campaign, I normally do one of my normal builds. But one of my normal builds is a rogue fighter. 2-level rogue, rest fighter. Why just 2-level rogue? They got evasion. What?
Trap finding.
Yeah, and evasion. You'd be amazed how often evasion saves your ass.
Always. Immensely.
I've played a wizard who had a couple rogue levels. Why? Fireball. Where? At my feet. What?
Yeah. Those are the classic rules for it. And the thing is that I understand that everyone has a job, but I also like having the ability to double up. So that way it's okay, we have one face. We need to have somebody who can be their wingman. So quick, you also take some diplomacy skills. Okay, we have one survivalist who's our master survivalist. We need one guy who can go out there and escort him while he's and help assist. And everyone's building out the idea that there's no one guy who does everything.
I mean, a face. The face could be your bard, your barbarian, not your bard, your rogue, your paladin, hell, your cleric in some areas.
Or simply a wizard who didn't dump charisma. Or a fighter who
Wait, those exist?
Charisma. Yes.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
If you actually roll stats, you might not actually go, you know what, I really don't need a dump charisma. But this is also but like I said, or you're just we have a cleric. We don't need anyone else who knows how to heal. And then you start realizing that, wait, no, this GM really likes bleeds. Everyone should know how to carry a first aid kit. Everyone. Why? Because the cleric may be unconscious and bleeding. We should be able to stop our own bleeding while we're hiding in a hole, because the GM is, filling the hallway full of death. We should probably be able to patch our own wounds. And the party, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
The newer edition, it feels like almost the newer edition, when I'm doing 5e, is like the bard has healing spells, the paladin has healing spells, the cleric is a healing spell. I think the druid has healing spell, has good berries,
and you've got your recovery. Don't you have recovery dice in 5e?
Yeah, for a short rest. Short rest, you get however many dice you can roll per long rest.
Everybody can pretty much self heal.
So I mean, even if you don't put skills points into it like you used to. Like I have a 15 in arcane in heal. It's just if you're proficient or if you have the ability to do it, you heal and you stabilize them. You don't actually heal them. They don't get back up and fight for the next round. They're still unconscious. They're just not bleeding out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to answer your question, if I was to actually get a group who just wants glory, fame, and bashing in orc skulls, that is a great way to start. I'm no promise that I'm going to allow you to end at that. And it will come down to just how they approach my plot hooks. Like I will throw like endless, like if all they want is combat, that's cool, and I'll give them combat, and they'll have fun, but eventually I'll keep throwing out plot hooks, and they don't bite, and they just want more killing. Cool. I mean, I know I'm not going to be the world's happiest GM, but you know what? It's not about me. As much as I bitch about what I don't like, I hide a lot of that when I'm actually at the table with the screen out and the dice out. So I'm able to put away my own dislike and disinterest in things and set that aside and go, I'm not the one who actually matters in this equation. It's my players. If they're happy running into a charging a burning wagon into a field to disrupt a bunch of guards so that way they can go and assassinate them, or cause a rush so they can all go run in there and buy time so they don't all get crossbow bolts into the chest, and all they want to do is kill everybody, that's cool. And yes, a bar fight is always, I may or may not already have pre-drawn out bars already planned out for the event of players getting drunk and punching somebody, because that's what you do today, is punch somebody. And now fight time, and things start happening, and you just run with it.
Well, you can always use that desire for glory and all that as a carrot.
Yeah.
So even if your plot hook leads to something that's not necessarily punching heads, if the glory is built into the hook or something like that, folks will always grab onto those things if that's what they're really interested in hopes that they will get to bash heads in along the way.
And the thing is that they usually, there's always this weird point where if their entire thing, because we had a character where he uncreatively named his character Bob, just Bob, and we're like, okay, fine, you're just Bob, but he ended up being the best. He was completely barely functional. The player was actually quite an intelligent player, but if it was that didn't involve him punching someone to death, or using a 6-foot long meat cleaver to cut them in half, he didn't want to do it. Or he would just follow along and wait for combat to happen because he knew that everybody else in the party would cause combat. He didn't seek it out. He knew it would find us. And because we're inevitably going to do something stupid. And we were, because we're stupid. We're players. We're dumb. And so he just sat there waiting, just sitting there waiting with his giant ass sword and his giant boxing glove fists, waiting for us to just fuck up. And then he's just like, well, guess And we always knew something bad was going to happen when from that part of the table, we just hear shing. And we're like, oh, shit. And he's like, well, who's dying? Whoever's not my friends. And he just starts waiting in there. And everyone's dead. And soon, within 2 or 3 rounds, everyone in the room's dead. He's just wiping the sword off, putting it back on his sword. And he's like, I'll collect my share of the gold. And I'm going to get a beer. And we're like, oh, my God. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for being the answer to all of our problems.
It's punch shit.
Like, did I get to punch it or cut shit today? No, whatever. It wasn't a bad session. And
I appreciate people that play characters like that. I have also played characters like that, where I'm at a certain point in my life where Monday through Friday or Monday through the next game it's work heavy. We're family business where I want to spend 6 to 8 hours or however long the game is running, where I don't have to think about anything other than some chucks and dice and kill something. I'm not going to stop the rest of the party from role playing. If they want to role play, that's awesome. But I don't want to have to think. I just want to be there, hang out with my friends, drink some beers, and kill some fictional creatures.
That's right. And the fun part is that if you're willing to do that, and I had a few weeks ago, somebody decided to go, hey, Blaine, do you actually want to play? Yes. And I was so burnt out because it was the holidays, and I didn't want to do shit. And so what are you going to play? And I played some crossbow focused ranger whose entire job was just to sit there at 500 feet and put arrows that crits to people's foreheads all day long. And they're like, what is your character just do? I smoke cigarettes, I shoot people, and that's all I do. And they're like, and I hide in bushes, and I shoot people. And they're like, do you do anything else? And I'm like, look, guys, but you're a GM. This is your chance to RP and have fun and be that thing that you always want. And I'm like, no. I'm going to give you guys a taste of what you guys do to me all the time. So I'm going to be the guy who sits back there and be like, well, you got 2 options. One of them involves 3-foot-long bolts of wood through your forehead. Which one are you going to choose? Option 1, good option, because I was already loading. Click, 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 click. And they're like, oh, does that mean we're about to probably die? Yep. And they're like, oh, this isn't good. But the thing was, that was my chance to finally get revenge on that GM, on those GMs and the other players. Go, this is the madness you guys put me through. This is why I'm insane. You guys I want to enjoy this, and then the GM, I want this challenge. I want this. Do it. Do your worst. And he's like, this is an encounter. This is my opening action. All the hit points. What? I'm sorry. Is there more people to kill? Cool. and they're like, but we thought you would be the most talkative, talky diplomacy person in the room. No.
Sometimes you want to just sit back and roll with it. And I have a character like that. And
yeah,
I do get tempted when I'm in a group and it's a diplomacy or a investigation thing, and we're kind of going in circles. And my character has absolutely no skill in anything but swinging a sword and being intimidating, and he's really good at it.
Yeah.
So what he did was, when he tried, one of the characters was like, well, you're not the charisma guy here. Like, okay, fine. I stepped back and let them screw around for a while. And then I said, all right, if you guys don't make something happen, I'm going to start chopping things.
Yeah.
So I'm getting bored. We need to do stuff, not just go in circles. I'm saying it in good nature. I'm not bossing them around or anything, but
oh gosh, no.
Playing in character and just, every once in a while saying, all right, we're going in circles, got to do stuff, or I'll start chopping things. And so instead of I refused to be the smart guy or the charismatic guy, because my character wasn't at all.
And the thing is that everyone else is expecting. I was like, well, GM, you're actually going to play. Aren't you going to be like the one who's in charge and leading us? No, because all I do all day, every single campaign, is lead you guys around by the nose and make you guys go where I want you to go. Why do you think I want to be the guy in charge now? But you can be the guy in charge now with the players. Like, no, this is my vacation. You are giving me a 2-shot adventure, 2 sessions to just have fun. I'm not going to waste it by being your babysitter.
Oh yeah. No, when I was living in Poplar Bluff, I got invited to sit down in this campaign, and there was like, this is right about when I was about ready to move back to Illinois. So I know I was only going to be there for a couple more months. And I'm like, sure, I'll play down. And the guy who was hosting it was a guy who regularly sits down at my table. And all he does for 4 hours, 4 hours, however long I ran the night, is just give me a fucking headache. And I'm playing with a couple of other people I DN'd for. And I'm like, what are you going to be? I'm going to be a fighter. Okay. Yep. Well, I pick up my languages and everything because this is Pathfinder. And the guy who's playing a paladin has been a thorn in my ass since I moved there. I'm like, okay. And we go fight. We're about ready to. Somehow he thought he could talk his way. He thought he was going to play his paladin as if you can talk your way out of every scenario. If they're bad, you could talk them into being good people.
Yeah, I know
that was his variation. I'm like, okay. So we're about ready to go up against a bunch of hobgoblins, and hobgoblins are smart enough to have a conversation with you. They'd rather kill you, but they're smart to have a conversation. But they didn't speak common, and the closest language that they spoke to what anybody else in the party spoke was Goblin. I spoke Goblin. And the paladin's like, hey, I need you to come up here and negotiate with these people. And he says, well, the paladin says, well, we want to make peace with you, and we'd like to establish some kind of arrangement. And I said, okay, I'll repeat, a variation what you said. And I looked at the DM, and I said, the paladin over here told me he wanted to tell you that you fuck like a sheep, and he wants to rape your daughter. And I say this at the table, and the guy who's playing paladin's like, I didn't say that. I'm like, you don't know what I said.
That is exactly what is always fun when you run languages and you have that one player who, like, because I have seen players do that exact same moment, and I've loved it. Where the player goes, "This is our grand plan. It's actually pretty intelligent," and then the one player who's translating is like, yeah, fuck you, fuck your horse, and we want to fight you. And the party goes, well, are they receptive of our idea?
Oh yeah, they're receptive.
And they're like, did you really say that? And they go like, yeah, that guy over there, he really likes you. Really likes you. When he's done beating the shit out of you, he's gonna really make you like him. And suddenly they're like, oh, we're gonna fucking kick your ass. And so they're all drawing weapons. You fucked up our diplomacy. Nope, I got exactly what I want. and
at the end of it, the paladin looks at my character and says, what are you good for? I'm like, talking shit and eating tacos. That's what I'm good.
Like, what are you good for? Not what you just made me do. And that's also why it's like you gotta be careful what language. But then again, I also had a player who took demonic. Like, why'd you take demonic as a language? He goes, because I wanted to cuss at people in a mean language.
So you want to cuss at people in German?
So he took demonic. So that he goes, but that's like shooting bunny rabbits with rocket launchers. There's no sport in this.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we're all having this big, everyone's talking, and suddenly this demon lord shows up, and the barbarian goes, actually, he's kind of talking about this problem here, and he's got the, and wait, you speak demonic? Yep. And why did you tell us? The barbarian, I didn't need to tell you. You can't speak any other language that's common and demonic. Yep. God, you're useless. Nope.
Not right now. I'm not.
Right now, I'm not. And oh my God, it's moments like that. So that was a fun moment too that we all kind of looked at. And go, yeah, the barbarian's not our diplomat. Nope. And
it's like me and the rest of the party knew that we're going to end up having to fight. That we should fight and kill these. They're evil. We should put them down. And the paladin's like, no, I want to, make peace with all nations. Well, let's see how this works out for you. And there was like, even the DM is like, why are you taking these languages? Because I took Goblin, I took Giant. I'm like, first of all, I know the area that you're talking about DMing in, gaming in, so it makes sense for my character to know some of the languages there. And he's like, but you just took the monsters. I'm like, yeah, because he's a fighter. He would like to know what these fuckers are saying.
That's usually the reason why.
It's like battle language.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know what they're planning. You need to, if you're gonna like sneak up on them and hear their plans. It doesn't do any good if you can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, that one player who goes, everybody's got a language. Take sign language. Why? Because so that way we can talk and nobody else knows what we're saying.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're all being sneaky, or we're trying to hey, we're all being captured. It's like people are doing sign language, and everyone's like, oh. Except for that one player who didn't listen, didn't take it. He's like, we're like, just wait for the sign. What's the sign? Usually a fireball. Okay, it's an explosion. That's the sign.
That's always the sign. I don't care what you're playing. That's always the sign.
What's the sign? Screaming. Who's screaming? It doesn't matter. If they're screaming, that's the sign.
I swear that Paladin probably cast Detect Evil on me at least like once a day. The entire, he's like, what alignment are you? I'm like, you got to cast to find out, because I'm not saying. Then DM later that day is like, what alignment are you playing? Well, you said no evil. He's like, yeah, I'm chaotic neutral.
Oh, so bargain basement evil. Got it.
Yeah, I'm out for me. If this makes me money, that's the type of character I was playing.
Chaotic neutral is just Walmart brand evil. So I can't be evil. I'm chaotic neutral. God damn it!
Well, I don't like playing good characters though either.
That's all I play.
Is a halfling on fire? Yes. No, I can do chaotic good. Chaotic good I can do.
I can't. I had a guy make me sit down and play a lawful good character. He said, just try it, just one session, lawful good, and I thought I was just going to burn internally from trying to be lawful good, because that's just not who I am. Well, it's fantasy. You're trying to be somebody else. Well, I can't. No.
So you walk around. Do you like murder people all the time?
No. Unless they have it coming.
Okay.
No.
Do you take people's stuff?
If they're dead.
Okay. No, I mean in real life. So you don't take people's stuff. You don't try to murder them in their sleep or when they're just walking around doing nothing.
No.
So why do you think you're not a good guy?
Because this is those things will put me in the place I don't want to go. This is
so the only reason you don't murder the only reason you don't murder people is because of the law.
No.
I like spending time with my daughter, and that means not being in jail. Yeah, I have a list. I just can't pull it.
You may be, careful. You might be a bit more lawful than you think. Yeah.
I have a list. I have rules that I follow. I give myself.
Just lawful doesn't necessarily mean you follow like people get paladins really wrong, and when they're lawful good, they think that they have to follow the local law, even if the local law is sacrificing babies. No, they don't. They have a code and they respect order, but lawful doesn't mean you're a robot.
Right.
Because if the law is perpetrating evil, then you would be violating the other half of your alignment if you're using the alignment system. And so
I understand that.
So you have your personal code, and you like order, and you protect the innocent, and that whole bring everybody to peace thing. I mean, really, that's silly. Hobgoblins are evil. They are.
They
popped out of the womb evil. They'll be evil. They breathe, eat, and sleep evil. That's just what they are.
Oh yeah. Now the fun. If you ever want a bad time, try. I would think almost going to call it a bad time, but it's a fun time when you have a player who I would actually list him as in real life being lawful evil, real life, and he's a clinical psychologist, not a therapist.
Oh, okay, it's like a lawyer.
No, clinical psychologist. He is the guy in the white lab coat in the laboratory going, "This is my theory, and I want to test it, and I need 100 of you peasants to endure what I'm about to do to you to prove my theory."
Like
Bill Murray, in the beginning of Ghostbusters.
And he is he is definitely like, when you have a person in real life who goes, "The board of ethics is my natural enemy," and that my life would be so much easier if I didn't have to explain to an ethics board what I'm about to do. And I'm like, "You're a psychologist?" He goes, "Clinical. I don't treat people. I test you." And I go, "You really are evil." He's like, "I am. And I'm paid to be evil. You have no moral ethics." He goes, "No, I have none. I studied too much about psychology. Ethics is a joke." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's what evil really is." Okay.
Well, here, put in this perspective, if it wasn't for the clinical a therapist like you're talking about, the Unabomber wouldn't have been as fucked up as he was.
True. But hey, the fun part here is that having a guy who hates an ethics board sit back and go, "Actually, no, you're actually more ethical than you say you are." And I'm like, "How are you the judge?" He goes, "Trust me, I have a degree in this. I can tell you if what alignment you're actually playing." But I say you're not. And I'm sitting here back going, I'm not drunk enough for this conversation. You guys all talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go drink some more while you guys hammer out what your alignments are. And he's like, "I'm putting aside me being your friend and a player. I'm now an ethics board. I'm going to tell you what alignment you are. Tell me what you want, and I'll tell you if it's good or not. And if it's ethical or not." And they're like, and I'm like, "This is what a lawful neutral god is like. He's going to enforce order on you. And he doesn't care about if you are happy or not when it's over." And I'm like, "John, you're a gift. I'm going to miss you when you're gone." And he's like, "I'm going to miss everyone when I'm gone. Bye."
My question is on that. You said God, and I'm thinking about gaming in general. But have any of you guys been in a campaign where it is God heavy, or the deity is known and will make an appearance either for the boon or bane of your existence?
Oh yeah.
Yes. By God, yes.
I've been in a few. Unfortunately, I've always been not that person's follower, so it's kind of bit me in the ass on different occasions.
The thing is that you need to be able to have, if you're going to have a GM who is running 1.5 million gods, which, dear God, someday I will actually write out my entire celestial bureaucracy network so you can see how crazy it actually is. Because there's a pantheon for humans and a pantheon for elves and a pantheon for dwarves. No. Here's the celestial bureaucracy. Deal with it. This is incomprehensible. I'm like, it is. It's not supposed to be.
Beyond mortal ken.
But there's a guy in charge of everything. No, not one guy. There's a person in charge of everything. Oh, so who do I go to for this? Get in line, take a number. Who do I pray to? You pray to. You hope someone's listening. Oh shit! And they're like, "But I'm a cleric and I pray to this god." Yes, and he's very, very busy right now. But he grants your spells are being granted by a subordinate of his who's handling your prayers because he's busy being the god of whatever he's supposed to be god of. But he's the god of war. He's the god of war. It's a very large planet. There's a war going. There's like 5 wars going on, and you're doing what? Getting ready to go fight like 5 goblins and an orc? He really can't. Well, but I'm here to bring law. There's like 15 cities that all need lawbringers. you're just one guy, but I'm important. No, you're not.
God, it's like going to the not human, going to any government building to fill out paperwork. Can I talk to my agent? No, but you can talk to me. But I need him to fill out my this. No, he actually doesn't do it. His, somebody else does it.
And then,
resource department at any job.
And then, like 3 days later, an angel shows up. I'm your caseworker.
Where were you
your
3 days
caseworker.
ago?
I'm Juno, your caseworker. And it's like, huh? But I was wanting to talk to. Are you an angel of my God? No, I'm actually in. They pawned, like, you're actually in. You're dealing with the Department of Lost Mysteries right now because you're in this dungeon, and so they pawned you off to the appropriate deity department. And I'm here to talk to you about whatever your problem is. Well, but got a question? Yeah. Here's your answer. And
see, that makes a whole lot more sense because when you get those phone calls trying to talk to you about your car warranty, that's really the other side of the argument.
and the thing is that suddenly it makes the idea of it's like, like I am the god of this field. Do you have anything important? No, I actually just kind of guard this field. Is that your job? Yes. And I'm very proud of that job. Thank you very much. We could just kill you. You could. And
we've brought out paladins and earth dong. I said dong.
And the thing is that and it's like it's fun. So yes, if you can just get yourself away from this weird, kind of Tolkien-esque inspired or traditional pantheon logic, you can have a lot of fun getting crazy with having fun. And suddenly it's like, well, I'm a paladin. Yeah, cool. You're like one of there's like 5 lawful good paladins. Well, which one's the paladin that I'm a part? You chose when you created your character. You're a paladin of that god. Congrats, go. And that paladin over there, yeah, he's also lawful good. He's also part of a crusader god. But he's a god of this. Wait, what? How many gods are there? Just don't ask that question.
You like bureaucracy, though.
I very much am a king of bureaucracy. I love making people look at just how the universe is far bigger than you'll ever comprehend.
Super complicated.
I both want to sit at his campaign to play and also not sit at his campaign to play because how...
Okay, there's ways to not deal with the bureaucracy. So,
yes.
So if you're not dealing with the Celestials at all, you don't have to deal with that bureaucracy. And the whole tax people you talked about before, if you don't hide from them, then you don't have to deal with them either.
The thing is that the entire world actually has a whole lot of things that are keeping it running. But if you don't look at it, they're all invisible. They're all running in the background the way it should always work. And that's where heroes come in. When the great gears of the universe crunch to a halt and they needed somebody to go in there and pry a goblet out of the gears. Or there's a demon causing problems. You know what? And the gods, we're just here to help push you in the right direction to fix the problem.
Stick you in that cog so you can grease it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's going to get greased one way or another. You're going to get that debris out, or your dead body is going to grease that gear. One way or another, it's going to keep turning. Oh, that's not good. It's not supposed to be good. It's an uncaring universe. It's powerful, and it will continue to grind you down. That's why you're a hero, because you can try to break that system. You're right. But that's just weird.
I just feel like if I ever sat down at Kai's campaign, I'd need 3 binders, a grid notebook, and a calculator for some damn reason.
You do. I would suggest you own it. You buy one.
Calculator, I have my phone, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I know. Buy a notebook. Keep notes. Keep writing down all the notes. Anything that interests you, write down the note, and then come back to me later and go, hey, that thing in the session that you mentioned, could you tell me more about that? Oh, you mean the world? You mean the magic eater iron plant? Yeah. Is there a history behind that? Yes, there is. Can I research it? Yes, you can. Are you going to tell me it? I might. If you roll okay. If not, you're going to find out why it's called the match feeder virus. Oh, this is going to end very badly for you, I know. Oh, this has got a history to it, doesn't it? About 5 pages worth. This is going to kill me. Mm-hmm. Good luck.
That's fair. I'm lucky as a DM.
You should have burnt it when you had a chance.
Yeah. I've so far I've been lucky as a DM. Most of my players
right here. It's all apart.
I mean, my players do take notes and whatnot, but most of they keep it simple. Most of the games I run, and I appreciate that. If I get a bunch of them like we want to make it a little bit more harder or complicated, I can go down that road too. It's just so far it's been let's keep it simple, stupid systems sessions. So I just run with it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, honestly, keeping it simple is fun. But when my players start going too murder hobo-y, I know that I don't have very many limits. So therefore, if I want to crank it up to 12 on the murder, death, gore stage, I can go death metal. If they want me to go death metal, I'll go death metal. If they want to go into terror tactics, I can go terror tactics. If they want to, if they want to pull out green visors, I can go that way too. But if they just want to have fun, I can sit back and go, you know what? Let's just have a pulp adventure. My pacing is set entirely by what my players do. But because I know I can go to the extremes in every direction possible, and I'm not afraid to go, I don't want to deal with that. Ugh, fuck. I'm not one who's going to sit back and go, because I don't want to deal with that, I'm going to tell you no. No. That's why I read so much about damn near everything, and so that way when a player goes, I'm going to throw you a fastball here, and I'm like, catch. No, let's do that. Let's go with that. And suddenly like, wait, what? You forget. I have the power. I have the summation of all of mankind's knowledge in my hand right now. So if you do ask me something I don't have an answer for, I can pull up a search engine pretty damn fast.
So I think this coming week's campaign, because I didn't know when I ran Monday, I didn't know Bob Saget passed away. And so this coming Monday, I think I'm gonna. This coming Monday, I am the DM because last Monday I wasn't. But this coming Monday, I'm gonna put any, just for not. I hate the concept rule, the rule of cool, but for shits and giggles, if anybody gets my Bob Saget, reference or some, pop culture comment, I think I might give an extra XP points to just for shits and giggles.
Hey. Just make sure you rewatch some of his actual stand-up routine and make sure you get some of those in there too.
Oh yeah, no, I watched almost most of his stand-up. I loved his roast on Comedy Central.
I haven't seen any of his stand-up. I have Farce of the Penguins though.
Right.
Which was okay. It was funny enough. I understand that once he got out of his family version TV show, it was all bets are off. I did hear. I listened to an interview on I think it was Joe Rogan's show. He was on that show, and it was a pretty cool interview.
I had the same reaction to him that I did with Betty White. Betty White was America's grandma. ... And I remember from Golden Girls, I remember for all these other movies playing the old grandma sweet lady. Then like Plastic came out and she called that cop a cocksucker. I'm like, grandma. And so that was
she's not the sweet grandma. She's
right.
The ornery grandma
with
who
Saget,
appears sweet.
What was it? With Saget, it was that movie Half Baked, and they're at the drug meeting or whatever for ADD, but for drugs. And he stands up and is like, have you ever sucked cock for heroin? I've sucked cock for heroin. I'm like, no! Stop my childhood.
Yeah. But I want to apologize for having to bow out a little bit early, only because I have to get up early for work. So I'm going to bow out at this point. Thank you for putting up with me for the night.
Hey, Blaine, are you getting closer to putting your channel together for streaming uses?
Getting closer, but I just gotta find a window where I'm not fixing a leaking bathroom or having to prepare for a move. So I'm getting there, but as more information happens, I'll make sure to pass it along. So I'll bid you all a good night, and I'll talk to you all next week.
Bye. See you then. Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Yep.
Okay.
Joe,
go ahead. For Bruce.
No, I was going to ask Joe something that was topic related.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. Aside from what we talked about last night, to keep in the context of the chat original purpose, what was it that you did in a game, either recently or maybe not so recent, to where you were like, oh my, I've got to use this again? And that's kind of like something that you used one time and you just kind of were in shock. Maybe you worded things differently. Maybe you brought something new to the table just by being naive and able to ascertain BS from the players. But what was it that you did at a table that you just thought, like, I'm going to write this down. This is going to happen in every game I run?
Oh, as a DM.
As a DM.
Okay. Honestly, I really don't run a lot of games. So I haven't run a game in probably a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
So I'm much more a player, and that's just circumstances. As they are, it's hard to run a game at my house. So, okay. We do our annual get-together called Cabin Con. And we were playing Pathfinder folks, and you can get pretty uber Pathfinder without being all that high level.
Yeah. And levels where it starts to fall apart if you're not keeping your hand on it.
And so I ran a little, dungeon crawl essentially. In it, physics were kind of tossed out the window. So, because I didn't know what it was a con environment, so I didn't have pre-gens. Everybody brought their character they already had, and I didn't really want to learn everybody's character. So I decided to just have some really odd rooms, and in one room for the enemies, they were all aquatic. So the room for them functioned like an aquarium. So for them it was water, but when the party walked in, it was more like not quite water, but air that was hard to walk through. So and I thought it was cool how I kind of I wouldn't say I didn't have any particular a PC in mind, but I knew that there were like folks that could fire 50 million arrows or whatever. So I wanted to kind of level the playing field a little bit and have a challenging environment for them, instead of just walking into a room and then they just kill everything. And it's just a blank room with no features that make it interesting. This was for them, not a three-dimensional fight, but for the enemies it was, because they could be anywhere in the, up and down and in all three dimensions, because for them it was like flying. They were aquatic creatures, but they were for them an aquatic environment, but at the same time for the players they could breathe it. And it made it hard for the players to move, but the enemies could move very well. It had some advantages. So, and I had about 5 or 6 rooms that were built in a similar fashion, where the environment was against the players. In one of them, they walk in, and then soon after that they walk in, half the floor falls out, and the floor is kind of a spiral, broken spiral toward a central location. But as they're walking is when it falls out. So they have to avoid falling into an abyss. And the enemies don't have any problem getting to them because of, I can't remember what the reason was, but they didn't have any issues. But the players had issues getting, navigating the room. And then they had to deal with various different kinds of enemies. So it was very tactical and challenging for the players. They were, at the end of the day, they're like, oh, that was very challenging and fun because of that. On the edge of their seat. And that's the kind of thing, if I was to run any more third edition for mid to high level, it would end up being like that, where you have to bring the environment to bear and not just the enemies in like an open field. And you see them over there and they see you and you run to each other and blah blah, which is kind of boring.
Yeah, that is pretty boring, pretty fast.
Yeah,
I would say that.
Right.
Are you playing in any of Randy's games right now or no?
Yeah, we're playing Saturday. We're playing Saturday night.
Okay. Do you guys if you don't mind me asking, does he run like a old school game or a second edition D&D or what?
We're playing old school. So it's a homebrew rules, but it's essentially Beck Me with some changes. And we're just we're fiddling with some rules. We're trying to make our own thing, and we're not game designers, so who knows how long it's going to take, or even if we end up doing anything. But it'd be cool if we could nail down something interesting.
Yeah,
not just another OSR clone, because there's plenty of those already.
Yes, I was going to buy OSE and Darker Dungeons and a bunch of other stuff, and I started looking at it, and I'm like, let me just buy the Rule Cyclopedia. And I had one of those.
It's pretty cheap. Hardback is really a good deal. $20, I think, is what I got for mine.
And I love Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the equipment chapter that has the combat not the combat matrix, but the combat for all of your various arms, how much damage you do at each proficiency level.
Right. For the weapon mastery or whatever they call it.
I love that chart.
Well, I love the idea. I'm not necessarily like a scimitar, longsword, rapier, all the swords that are fairly similar in length and weight and all that. I know that they're slightly different in their employment in the real world. Scimitars are slightly different and have a different martial style to them. But making them out to be radically different in the game is kind of weird.
It's the difference between slashing and piercing is really the only difference that should be in camp and gaming.
And bludgeoning.
Yeah.
And missile weapons, stuff like that. Piercing. Right. So I think that giant list could be simplified, and perhaps as a player you could design it so that you have some flexibility as a player, and you can pick different things you can do with your weapons instead of every dude with a longsword does exactly the same thing, which is it's okay. I mean, it's a game, so you can only have so many options, but it's a little boring if you only do one. Everybody with a longsword has all the same stats.
Yeah,
I don't mind everybody having the same stats, but I like what is the word for it? Not customizing, but if you're playing, let's say you're playing a swashbuckler, you don't want a long sword or short sword. You want a
scimitar, or falchion, or
something of that nature.
Like that.
Or if you're playing a fighter / paladin, you want a long sword or a short sword or a great sword. The cosmetics, I like changing Yes, they all do the same. Not all of them, but a lot of the main middle sword range does the same damage. It's like a 1d8 plus strength, or if you got finesse, it's 1d8 plus your dex, whatever. But if your character looks like he should have a rapier, then he should have a rapier. If your character should look like he should have a falchion, then you have a falchion. If the sets are no difference between those 4 swords, I don't, and it's just cosmetic, I normally just let the players go with it. I don't care.
If you're talking the something different between a dagger and a sword and a great sword.
I mean, if it does,
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Although I can see those having some differences there.
Well, I think with like a Warhammer, you have blunt and piercing, blunting and piercing. Depends on if it has a spike at the end.
Yeah.
Where like a great sword is still just slashing, great axe is just slashing.
Yeah, there's a couple of more versatile weapons that have one or two, or have 2 different slashing, piercing, or whatever, piercing,
right?
Or yeah.
Here recently, last year or sometime last year, I was in Bruce's campaign, and for shits and giggles, my character picked up a trident just because I've never played a character that had a trident before. I'm like, why not? I mean, they have range, they have distance on them, they have range on them. I can throw them, and I'm like, okay, I can make this work.
Sure. And trident or a military fork are probably about the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's an odd, kind of probably clunky weapon in real life, but you're playing a game, so who cares?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
As long as I don't have somebody at the table want me to roll percentage die on what side of the dagger hits the guy when I throw it, I don't care. I mean, it's
sure.
It's fantasy.
Sure. And if the hilt, I mean, that's a miss. I mean, that's if you hit and you do damage, you hit him with the pointy end.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hit by a hilt in the face. It hurts. It won't kill you, but you still won't feel good.
Right. It'll probably ring your bell.
Yeah. No, in Bruce's campaigns, I think some of my favorite players I think his favorite type of character for me to play is my throwers.
Yeah. They're pretty solid.
I will be a fighter that has in Pathfinder throw anything, where I will throw great swords, great axes, basically wherever I can get my hands on and throw it at the enemy. I just need to learn the trick of putting string on it so I can pull them back. So, I have a weapon for next time.
Or yes, because you have disarmed yourself.
Yeah. Get a follower that's a monk that has to throw anything, and me and him are just like juggling weapons at the bad guys. I haven't figured that out.
There is some, albeit a niche precedent for that. There's I'm trying to remember the name of the author, but there's a book. The main character's name is Valentine, and the first book he has amnesia, and he finds himself with a circus troupe, and he learns how to juggle, and not just normal juggling. It's kind of magical. They can juggle anything, and under any circumstances. So he learns a really fantasy version of juggling, and ends up doing pretty much that, juggling weapons around at the very end. Kind of the climax of the book or the story arc was he was in line for the throne, and he was.
It's not the Magipur cycle, is it?
It might have been.
Lord Valentine's Castle.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Lord Valentine's Castle.
Shit, another book to put on my list. Okay.
So yeah, and so he learned how to juggle with folks with like 4 or 6 arms, and ended up figuring out how to keep up with them. And so once he went to take his throne back, his brother or cousin or uncle or whatever who deposed him, and then either put a curse on him so he couldn't remember or whatever it was, and started throwing things at him, and he would catch it and juggle them and throw them back. And yeah,
If I'm sitting at a table that, and I even tell my players this, if I'm sitting at a table where I plan on running a serious campaign, I'm like, hey guys, I know I'm just as bad at bringing some bullshit characters out there just to see how it works, but please keep in mind this is a serious themed campaign. And if I got a DM that tells me the same thing, I normally try to play more serious, useful characters than my, I don't want to say they're bullshit characters, because most of my characters I build tend to work one way or the other. If they don't, I'll maneuver them enough to work. By third level, they'll be able to work. But I think players I think DMs and players personally should have fun with it. I don't know if this will work, but what am I going to lose?
Right. It's just a character on a piece of paper. So
right,
let's roll with it. See how it works out. Yeah.
And you might really enjoy that alter ego. You might really fall into it, and the party might find a lot of good interactions with him.
Right.
We're closing down on 2 hours here, and Joe, I don't know if you got to work tomorrow.
I do. I was about to bow out myself.
Would you do me a favor and instruct our chat on what you do and where they can find you? And I'll put a link to your channel in the chat.
Yes. I and my friend Randy host Biggus Geekus. It's a weekly, now live streamed video on YouTube. Then we take the audio and put it in podcast format, and it's a tabletop role-playing game discussion review type show. Also, I more frequently me than Randy, but we try to show up on the Legion of Myth Friday chill stream. Sometimes we host Gatekeepers, and I'm going to try to get out and visit various podcasts that we are all kind of in a loose network, we can call it.
I think that's a really good way to put it, because all of us seem to have the same mindset where we want to run good games, or we want to partake in good games. And that seems to be the one uniting factor that seems to have gotten us under this banner, is the fact that there's a lot of things coming out now that we don't really agree with. And while we don't, we're not the type of guys to be like, how dare you play a game like that? We don't really do that, but we don't want to partake in those games. I don't want to be a barista. I don't want to role play as a septic tanker driver. I do that at my job every day. I'm good.
Yeah, and the prevailing kind of, and it's a minority of people, but usually the minority of people drive the lemmings around, and they've got people by the short hairs and telling these game companies how they should do things, and they're actually part of the game company, so they're kind of imposing a worldview into the game, and which is weird. That's why I don't give any money to WotC. I don't give any money to Paizo and anybody like them. I keep my money to myself.
I stopped doing that years ago.
Yeah, they don't need my money. They don't miss it either, really, to be honest. They're only going to they're only, but, and I firmly believe this is something that I agree with, that I listened to Eric July for canon's sake.
I love Eric July, and he's one of the best minds. I can't wait for his comics to hit.
Yeah, I'm going to be backing them. I'm actually a member of his site as well.
Okay.
So the only way to change the direction these companies are going is to get enough people to pull their money out of them. I don't know if that's possible, because a lot of people, if a book has the D&D moniker on it, they'll buy it. They don't care. It says D&D, I'm buying it. Yeah. And yeah, and if that's what you want to do with your money, that's fine. But if the only way we're going to get them to change is for them to feel it in their wallets.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing to do is to provide competition, which is a different way of doing it. You get enough good competition for these other companies, then people will divert their money to the competition, and then they'll feel it in their wallet somewhat. I don't know how that'll work out, how that play out. It may not play out very well because people really are hard to move in mass.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
but I think as a group, as long as we have something we can do, we don't need to worry about being the biggest game in town or running the biggest game in town. We don't have to run Wizards of the Coast version of D&D, but we can do our own thing.
Yeah, and that really hits on one of the, you didn't mean to, I'm sure, but like I mentioned it last night, the game masters at the tables have all the control because they're the ones that opt to put all the content from the purchase modules or campaigns, and they're the ones that are able to filter out things they see on Tumblr or Twitter if they even go to those sites. Or they can just create a fun world and narrative for their players to enjoy, and it might or it might not have the elements that the popular culture wants us to adopt. But that's going to be up to each individual table. How is that game master going to run? And therefore, the game masters truly have all the power. They don't realize it, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, I guess I'm the odd man out here on this one. I will probably won't buy anything out of second edition Pathfinder because I just don't like the system anymore. But I'll buy modules out of 5e or Pathfinder, whatever. And as long as I have a group that will run the same rules, because I'm just looking at the story. I'm not looking at the mechanics of the game. I'm just looking at the story. And if I think it's a good enough story to run and I think my people will enjoy it, I'll run it. Even if it is a fucking Anne Rice novel that I turned into a campaign. If I think my players will enjoy it, I'll fucking run it.
Andy, I am with bated breath. I wait for you to run either your version of Blazing Saddles or 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my God.
I'd be down for Blazing Saddles, that's for sure.
Blazing Saddles. That could be done. I know it won't be allowed on YouTube, but it could be done.
Where are all the white women at?
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
I love Mel Brooks.
He's creeping up in age. He's at the 90, at the big 90, I think. So, we got to put a protective wall around him and Gilbert Gottfried. I didn't realize that before this week, but oof.
Gilbert Gottfried's been looking. He hasn't looked good for a long time.
No.
Well, he didn't really start in a good place.
No, yeah, that's
not fair. Really.
No.
But, though. Yeah. I think the world has lost its sense of humor. And if I, a Christian, can watch The Life of Brian or Blazing Saddles and laugh, the nut jobs we have out now should be able to as well.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
very much agreed.
Shit, dark version of Willy Wonka and the Factory. Willy Wonka. Any book and I have talked to Max about this. I don't mind stepping into somebody else's IP if there's enough room to run something there. I don't have that great of imagination, but what I do have is I know how to torque things the way I want them to work. I will never be one of the great world builders in this community that we have. But if you give me a big enough sandbox and it's something you already build and you're not going to be pissed off that I play in it, we can have some fun.
Right. A lot of IPs can serve as a good backdrop, and you don't have to worry about screwing things up or whatever.
Right.
We're covering 13th Age for I don't know how long, but at least 2 more episodes are going to be on. Well, at least 1 more episode is going to be on 13th Age, maybe 2 or more. And I think that their background, their setting, there's some detail there, but there's just enough to work with, but not enough to get in your way. And they say throughout the book, use what you like, don't use what you don't like. They even in one section they say, because 13th Age is an OGL game,
Mhm.
So it has.
third.
Excuse me.
It's derived off third edition somehow.
Third and fourth, and so there are 3 or 4 or 5 different elements that they say these are things you can use from our game in your game without worry. And I don't like some of them anymore. One of them is escalation die, and when you enter combat, second round, you put the escalation die on once, a d6, and all the PCs get +1 to all the rolls, and it just goes up from there every round. And to me, that and something called relationship die within the game, they end up making the game very pro PC. So the PCs have the deck stacked in their favor to a large degree. I mean, the monsters are still dangerous.
Yeah,
but it's really stacked in their favor. So you are the hero by default, instead of aspiring to become one and perhaps becoming one or not, depending on your proclivities.
That does sound interesting, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of just because you're a good guy, we're going to give you a +1, and it goes up by 1 every round. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
like that either. That's really heavy-handed.
Well, they do fashion their monsters, they've said, in a way that takes it into account, so that the first round or two, you're probably not going to be hitting, but their bonus to hit isn't great either compared to your armor class. So maybe it'll be whiffing on both sides, or maybe they'll hit you a couple of times, and then the second round, third round, fourth round, you're going to start hitting. And so I think it's trying to solve a problem that had occurred in probably third and fourth, and probably Pathfinder too, which is long combats. And you have a lot of hit points. You might nickel and dime each other to death, and it takes forever. And this was, in their mind, a way to speed combat. So that's what I call the escalation die. So hopefully within 6 rounds, you have dealt with the enemy.
Now it only goes up to a +6.
It goes up to +6 and stays there, unless there's some higher level monsters that can bump the escalation die all the way down back to the beginning, or knock it back 1. Some monsters can use the escalation die too, but not very many. I think dragons can, but yeah. So it's a style of play, which is you're the hero. It's assumed, not necessarily the good guys. You can still be evil, but you're the protagonist of the story. You're important. You're somebody, instead of aspiring to become somebody. And I'm fine with having a game system where you start out fairly competent instead of incompetent, like in basic D&D, where you could barely do anything. It's a different style of play. And you start out fairly competent, but you're not necessarily the hero yet. You still have to prove yourself through your actions, whether you're a hero or not, or the hero of the story, or just worthy of anybody's attention.
Gotcha. Yeah, was it old D&D? I cast my 1 spell for the day. I quit. I'm going to bed.
Or if you're a cleric, you don't even have a spell.
Yeah.
And on Gatekeepers, that wasn't last night. That was the night before?
No, it was last night.
Last night, the one fellow suggested Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Mm-hmm.
And I downloaded it, and I'm like, everybody but the fighter only has at most +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet.
Yeah, that really spotlights the fighter as this is a.
The implications of it are kind of stupid.
It doesn't make sense to me either. I'm fairly in that camp where the fighter gets this.
Every dwarf, no matter how many battles they've been in, are no more competent at fighting than a wizard.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, they might have a strength bonus, but that wizard could have a strength bonus, especially with the way your stats are determined. I mean, you roll straight down the line and you switch one if you need to. So that wizard could have. I mean, there's no telling what your strength is. It's pretty random.
Right.
So, and I don't think that you get stat boosts from your race. I don't think so. I didn't look too closely at it, but oh yeah, you do, and they get a con boost. Dwarfs do, so they don't even get a strength boost. So a human and a dwarf are like as not to have fairly equivalent chance of having a decent strength, no matter what class you are. So it's kind of weird. I mean, it's a different style of play, and I guess instead of giving the fighters like class features, they decided to just let them have all the attack bonus, and it only goes up to +9, no matter what level. And it's a 20 level game, so you can go 1 to 20, but their bonus to hit goes up to +9 at 9th level, I think, and stays there. So I don't know. It's just a different game.
That's very different.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like it, and that's fine. They took out a lot of the damage dealing spells, so there's no, except for magic missile. And that fella, he did not give accurate information. He said that you can cast whatever spell. They didn't have levels, but that's not true.
Really?
It has first to ninth level spells, just like regular D&D.
Okay.
So there might be like a modification to the rules from one of the other two stupid sounding supplements.
Okay.
Like vaginas or magic or whatever it's called. Stupid. And yeah.
No, those are actual supplements there.
Yeah.
No, I believe you. I have no doubt in my mind those are real things. He doesn't seem like the type of person to just say that without it being a thing. You know, I could be wrong, but
in a world where there's a game called Thirsty Sword Lesbians, anything's possible.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's some interesting spells that they have in there. There's one called 20 Fishes, or no, Strange Water. Well, weird thing about it is it's called Strange Water 2. There's not a Strange Water 1. It's just Strange Water 2. But basically you summon a sphere of water and it has 20 fish in it, and it immediately falls to the ground. And you eat the fish, and each fish gives the person a weird ability, and you roll on this random table. And it goes from anything from being poisoned and die to having a +6 on your strength, for a short time. And you can eat more than one fish, and then it's kind of a potion miscibility table kind of thing going on. But it's a odd spell, but it's a cool sounding spell, but it's odd.
That could be cool.
I mean, it's a food source.
Yeah,
you eat a whole fish, so maybe you don't starve that day, and you might get a power, and you might not starve.
You dying is like the only big hiccup I have there.
That's a hiccup. Yeah, you roll a 1 on the D20, you die, and I don't think there's a saving throw.
Fuck.
So,
I like some of the ideas that he was talking about with Lamentations, but I'm not pulling the trigger on it yet. I'll find the drive-through link tonight, and
yeah, it's free, so it's it's nothing but a little short read that you're sacrificing there. So
yeah, I'll check it out. I'll take a look at that. I found a library of old Dragon and old Dungeon magazines, so right now I'm just kind of sucking those up and enjoying. Like, first and second edition Dungeon magazine was just amazingly good.
It was a great resource.
Yeah, and you didn't have to run the whole module. You could just borrow bits or a cavern or a map here or a couple NPCs.
The maps alone.
Yeah. That was worth it almost, because back then we didn't have a whole lot of real sources. Your releases from Dragon or from TSR were not that frequent, and you had another company that was endorsed by them called Judges Guild, but their art and a lot of their art design was really third hand, and it didn't look good.
Judges Guild?
The first edition of Judges Guild, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at some, I I know a lot of people talk about the mega dungeon thing that they put out.
They
What's
put
it
out
called?
a couple big ones. Dark Tower.
There's one for 5e, the Mad Mage Under the Mountain, or the Mad Mage Under the Mountain that has a super fucking dungeon.
That's Forgotten Realms dungeon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every square is 10. If one square is supposed to be 5 by 5, normally its square is 10 by 10. And I was like, would you mind drawing that out? And I think my response was, you can go fuck yourself.
That's great.
Well, back in the day, the Judges Guild thing it wasn't Empire of the Petal Throne. It was another one that has in the last few years the Judges Guild folks kind of got poo-pooed all over because of naughty poo-poo words that they said.
Oh, no.
And they might have been not good people, but everybody was saying don't get that. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. The son
Invisible Overlord.
Yes, City State, the Invisible Overlord.
Yeah. And the first edition of that, or the early edition of that, the maps were kind of crude, not very well done.
Yeah.
The whole product was kind of like a. I don't know if you've seen old mimeographs.
It was the first
from back in the day. Yeah.
It was the first. It was before Greyhawk became really Greyhawk.
Well, I mean the old books, the Dungeons and Dragons, old D&D, little booklets. They don't have high production value.
No.
But I think the problem we have these days is we have high production value books, which drives up the price, makes them nice and shiny. People want to go buy them because the art is interesting. And then is the content really that good apart from those things? If you like their creative direction, well, maybe you think that's a yes. But for me, their current creative direction is a big no, even if it's high production value, which it is. Probably not good editing, because that has been the curse of this hobby since forever.
Never. Yeah.
Hey, we have an index. Yeah, your index is a pile of crap. Oh, I mean, I don't know too many. Even my Hackmaster book is a bad editing job. But that's a small operation.
I've definitely joked where I have a horrible case of ADD, which it screws up my grammar, and texting or reading anything I wrote is just a horrible nightmare for anybody, including myself from time to time. And I pick up some book that's horribly edited. I'm like, my writing makes more sense than this nonsense.
I get that. But yes, Biggus Geekus podcast.com is our website. We are on YouTube. We are on MeWe. All the social media places that are big, Twitter, Facebook, Odyssey, though I have to update our video videos there because I haven't posted a video there in a while. So I've got to get our videos caught up on Odyssey.
It'll take you a bit to get that, but you should be fine. Odyssey is good, right? I'm liking them more and more.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about whenever you start a video that there's an ad that pops up or halfway through. I mean, some people rely on that for revenue, but it sure is annoying. There's ways to get revenue on Odyssey without that. You can get tipped and whatnot directly from your folks that like your content.
So if I were to tune into the chill stream tomorrow night, I'd probably see you and Randy at some point, wouldn't I?
It's possible, although being on here tonight might preempt me from being on tomorrow night. So
I understand.
I'm old and have few a few spare minutes to do this after hours, but I try.
Okay. I don't want to get in trouble with the missus. I know that much.
Right. I told her that I've been summoned.
Yes. I will do my best to not cause too much ruckus tomorrow night in the chat. I do want to thank you and Andy for coming on tonight, and Blaine as well. And when Andy and Blaine get their channels up and running, we'll be the first to proclaim their locations and link them from the mountaintops. from deep in an underground bunker underneath a nondescript building deep in the heart of Texas. I do want to thank everybody for showing up to the Bruce Lombardo live stream for Table Breakers episode 12. Thank you so much, everybody in the channel, in the channel, in the chat, and in the panel. Did I? Anyway, thank you so much for showing up. We will be here next Thursday night with another topic of unknown origin, and we will see you then and in other fun locations. Thank you so much.